and kick things off. So thanks everybody for taking the time to be here today. I'm here with Lynn Zayak and Valerie DePina from Westfield State University, where we're going to talk a little bit about how they are currently using EesySoft at their institution. And so today I'll be kind of moderating the session, but Lynn and Valerie are really going to be the stars of the show today. And so we have hundreds of EesySoft customers from around the world, ranging across different LMS systems on Blackboard, D2L, Moodle, and Canvas. And here's just a couple of the various institutions that we work with. But the agenda for today is first, we're going to do a quick intro into Westfield State University. Then I'll actually jump in and do a live demo of EesySoft, just a quick 10-minute overview of what is EesySoft and give you an idea of how it looks in the real environment. But then I'll hand the mic back over to Lynn and Valerie so they can talk a little bit about why they chose EesySoft, how they're currently using it, and some plans that they have for the future. And we'll open up the room for questions and answers to all of you here today. I'm happy to have people jump in and ask questions during the session. Lynn, Valerie, do you agree, or should we save it all for the end? Yeah, let's do it as we go. Yep, I agree. So guys, if you do have any questions, please feel free to just, yeah, you can unmute yourself or throw something in the chat. Myself and Oyinda can be monitoring that and get back to you with anything. And so here, as I've already mentioned, we're here with Lynn and Val. Anything that you guys would like to add about Westfield State University or yourselves or your current positions?
I'm Lynn Zayak at Westfield State University. My role is the director for the Center of Instructional Technology. We focus on online learning. Additionally, faculty using a course using the Plato system for a course website.
And I'm Valerie DePina, also working in the CIT, doing online training for both faculty and students and support for the same.
Perfect. Thanks, guys. Great and excited to be in this presentation today. So what I will do is I'll actually jump out of this presentation. We'll come back in a second, and I will actually go into the live demo of EesySoft. So as a high-level overview, EesySoft is an ed tech adoption platform focused on helping you to increase the utilization of your LMS and any third-party tools that you're using. So really any online learning technology, EesySoft, we want to support you through this usage. We're able to do this by allowing institutions to communicate more effectively with users, giving them information at the time of need directly inside of the LMS environment. So you see, I'm going to use Blackboard as an example today. And what we're looking at now is an example of an EesySoft message. So there's a couple different styles of EesySoft message. This is a pop-up, great way to catch a user's attention right when they log into the LMS, either for the first time or at the start of the semester. And you'll see this is a new student orientation message. So a lot of our customers have been using these pop-up messages to welcome freshman students into the LMS for the first time. A lot of times they'll also create their own video here, welcoming them, highlighting some of the key aspects about the LMS that they should be paying attention to, or just key tips for online learning, if that's the modality that you're going for the upcoming term. We've also seen a lot of institutions use this messaging to deliver COVID-19 training or communicate about campus reopening plans. So here I have another example with some communication around campus reopening plans and COVID-19 training. Sometimes this is also mandatory for returning back to campus. So just giving you a way to reach a larger audience with this information outside of the traditional communication channels of email or announcements, which can be really easily overlooked, especially by students and even with faculty now having more emails than they ever used to in the past. Things can really easily get missed, especially when you're looking at reopening campuses and welcoming some students back in person for the fall term. There's probably going to be a couple different course modalities that are going to be delivered. So using this messaging to clarify the differences between those course modalities, highlighting those to students and making sure that they understand, okay, this is the class I'm taking and here's how it's going to be delivered and what's going to be expected of me for that specific course modality. Now, these messages can be placed anywhere inside of your LMS, and it can be targeted at very specific groups of users. So most generally, we can separate instructors versus students, but we can also leverage the institutional hierarchy, the nodes, or in Canvas, the sub-account level of users to make some departmental specific messaging or campus specific, but you can also upload your own custom user groups. So for example, you could target third year chemistry students, if that's a list you can pull from your SIS to do some very specific and targeted communication to your users. You'll see that this is the third style of EesySoft message that we're looking at. It's a hint message pointing to a specific element on the page. And so here, really drawing that awareness, creating the attention to this area that you want to highlight with the messages. In this case, we're actually reaching out to instructors, asking them to add due dates to the calendar. In Blackboard, this can be really important because students will then see their upcoming deadlines or assignments here in the activity stream, which is a really great tool from Blackboard and is even more valuable when it's filled up with those upcoming deadlines. Now, any other Blackboard institutions that are here that are looking at turning on ultra-based navigation or moving to ultra courses, EesySoft can be really helpful through this change management process as well, or anyone who's looking at transitioning to a new LMS. EesySoft can be really effective for having good communication during those change management times. Here's an example of some pre-made messaging that we have available for institutions turning on ultra-based navigation. Providing some general information about each of these new pages inside of Blackboard. But what you'll notice is down here, there's some links in this message. And directly from these links, they open up into the EesySoft support tab. So this is our support center that gives users access to the information that they need when they need it. It's a 24/7 contextual and role sensitive support for users inside of Blackboard. And same for Canvas, but you'll notice here, if I trigger this not from the message, it automatically takes the user to the most relevant help items based on who they are and where they're located inside of the LMS. You'll see automatically taking me to the help items about using the calendar. This is fully populated, this knowledge base out of the box. So it's pre-populated with all of the generic help items from your LMS, but you can also customize this area, add your own institution specific support resources or any of the documentation from any third-party tools that you might be using inside of your LMS. Let's say I was a user, I wasn't able to solve my issue. Down here, you'll notice that the user can automatically escalate their support request from inside of EesySoft. So we can actually integrate this with your current ticketing system and support workflows to get users to the support that they need as quickly as possible, but also providing some additional information to the support administration team, such as what operating system they're on, what browser that they're using, and even a link to exactly where the user delivered that support request from. This can sometimes be helpful if a student reaches out with a question like, I can't take my test, and you don't know what test that they're taking, you don't know what course that they're in. So this information has helped our customers reduce time to resolution by around 75% on those inbound support requests. Now, the messages can also be used proactively in a support function as well. So using these messages to combat some of those most common issues that you see coming into your help desk throughout the different phases of the academic calendar. So here,
My window on the socks room window open.
Sorry, Amanda, maybe if you could jump on and just mute. But so generally what we see is a lot of students reaching out at the start of a new term about not seeing their courses, but with this message, we can let them know to reach out to their instructor rather than to the help desk. Yeah, and so of course I could go on and show these EesySoft message examples all day. They can be used in many different ways, such as promoting end of semester course evaluations or letting people know about registration deadlines, application deadlines for financial aid, different things like this, but it also integrates with all of your different third-party tools that you might be using inside of your LMS, such as Blackboard Ally for example. So you see being able to tie these messages directly to this alternative format download button from Ally, because a lot of times this is something that's really easily overlooked by students. They don't know what it is, they don't know what it does, why it's important. But here with these messages, we can really highlight those key things, bring that attention, bring that awareness, and let them know how these tools can benefit them and improve their online learning experience. Now, one other thing that EesySoft does is it's able to track the usage data from your LMS and provide some additional insights into the adoption levels. So helping you really understand how is Blackboard actually being used and giving you some insights into the granular usage of these tools. These insights can then be used to highlight key areas and focus in on specific tools that you want to increase the usage of. Currently, the reporting is not being used at Westfield State University, so the rest of the presentation, we're really going to focus on the messaging and the support side of things, but I just wanted to let people know that this is something that we do and that's available. So that's my really quick overview. Maybe if we want to take 1 minute, if there are any questions, please feel free, but otherwise we'll jump back into the presentation and let Lynn and Valerie take the wheel. Perfect. Well, I think it's over to you two, Lynn and Valerie. I think you're still on mute.
Would you like, what I'd like to do is explain why Westfield chose EesySoft. And during the pandemic and the rush to remote, our staff on campus is a very small group that was already supporting pre-pandemic over 1,000 online courses, some of which were hybrid, to take and support not only the online courses and the hybrid format and the instructors that were having a course website for their face-to-face classes, to pivot and then starting supporting 98% of the courses on campus. Additionally, we started to support admissions, the Bonaco Center, student retention, urban ed, payroll. So our role really expanded to not only taking courses and putting them online, but also, departments. And, how could our very limited numbers of people, support this? How could we pivot to do that? And we were looking for a solution that would allow us to do campaigns for products that we had that we felt were fabulous, but we were no longer on campus. So, the posters that we would place around campus to inform students of various programs and new products, because I think most of us sitting here understand or realize even pre-pandemic, students and even faculty don't always read all their email. And, now with everything being online, what could we do that was different to inform the campus, of things that were happening and how to get better support. And what was even important to us was sometimes people, students, faculty may be shy and asking for support because they knew how busy CIT was, that we wanted a tool that would provide, based on a person's role, whether they were a student or an instructor in a course, just-in-time help with simple text documents. So if a faculty member was creating an assignment in a course, that they could have help right in the course, they could click on the question mark, and up would come some very short tutorials, textual tutorials, along with some very excellent videos that talked all about creating an assignment. The same thing would go for the students, meaning that students would then be able to also look to help write in time. Up they would click on a question mark, up would pop information, tutorials, very short tutorials on how to, as well as if after looking at the short tutorials, as well as the videos, right below is need more help. Directly, they could click on our help desk and they would be funneled. So without ever having to leave where they are, which can sometimes be confusing and frustrating to students. So we really needed help to provide information, to gather some data on how many people were reading our campaigns, as well as, for some tutorials and some self-help and easier ways to get to connect with us. Another piece that's critically important was that our campus was using Blackboard. A few other faculty used a couple of other systems, but about 97% of the faculty used Blackboard, and we use Ultra-Based Navigation. I would like to say that that EesySoft does integrate with other LMS systems. I did want to, which is also a consideration for some of us here that are not using Blackboard. But what we really liked about EesySoft was how intuitive it was to faculty and students. We were working on this during winter session, and we just, and this was a suggestion of EesySoft, just to make it available. And we were astounded with that little question mark on the page. About 700 faculty clicked on that question mark, even without a campaign saying, you have this tool, you can use this tool. If you're looking for, help, here's another way. So we really liked the way the user just gravitated, to the tool. And we also really appreciated to see who was reading our messaging and if they were liking our messaging or not, if it was helpful. So you can simply vote thumbs down, thumbs up. You can even give us feedback. And what we're finding is that the majority of the campaigns that we have presented to the groups are really felt the campaigns were extremely helpful. Can we go down to the next slide? Can we move? And so how are we using EesySoft now? We're using it for self-help, tutorial resources, and as I mentioned, specifically to guide the learner or the faculty member how to accomplish certain tasks, whether being it creating an assignment, creating an announcement, or for a student submitting an assignment or taking an exam. And this just-in-time help has really been extremely helpful, and we're really getting fabulous feedback. Can you advance? Something that I previously have mentioned is faculty and staff do not have to leave the page. They just click on the question mark, whatever page they're on, and they will get the contextual help based on their role, along with, if they need further help, they can contact CIT. So it's not having to leave the page to go click into the help desk. It's extremely. And if you look on the side, there's the question mark that appears on the, for most people, on the bottom of the page.
So there's a little bit about the messaging.
And so the other piece that we're using this for is informational campaigns at Westfield. And with Nora Petticula and myself, we wrote a grant for alcohol and drug counselors. It's a licensure program, but our targeted audience for this program was CGCE students that were non-traditional, that had high school education or GED. And many of these students were people that had substance use issues. So this is not our traditional Westfield State students who's familiar with, you know, our Play-Doh, our Blackboard, the resources that we had, as well as they were students that most of them were coming back after a long period of time to try to, you know, gather the, you know, gain the knowledge so they could get a certificate. And it's a pretty tough program. It's a workforce development program, and it's called our ACE-H program. So we use the campaign to target just this specific group with very targeting messages from, you know, where to go for the pre-orientation, where to go for an academic mentor, how to reach out to the tech support, how to access their class. And what we have found is that the campaign messaging, because of this campaign messaging and continued campaigns that we have targeting for these students, we have not lost a student in the ACE-H cohort, which is simply amazing, because we know that this is a very high-risk group because they are really very non-traditional users that are not have not been to school in a long time, and are not many of them haven't had much academic success. So we're extremely happy with this campaign. I'd like to turn it over to Val DePina, because we want to talk about another campaign that we've run this year. Val?
So we, as Lynn was explaining earlier, we've had a lot of challenges in the last year or so. And one of the things that we were trying to address is, with a very limited presence on campus, both us and students, how could we get word out where we normally would put up posters or have, you know, some of our student workers go sit in the dining commons or whatever. We couldn't do any of those things. So one of the other tools that we employ at Westfield is Thinking Storm Online Tutoring. And I want to shout out Thinking Storm because they're another one of our great MCO vendors today. So we wanted to make sure that students knew that this online tutoring was available to them, particularly during the pandemic. In these times, it's, you know, even more important than normally. So we created a campaign with the help of Katie, who is our fantastic customer service manager, who was really, really helpful. And we started off with end of the semester, near the end of the semester, putting up this first message that you see, which is just, you know, hey, if you're really stressed out about your finals, you really think you need some help here, remember that we have online tutoring. Here's some of the subjects and so forth. And then this also gave them a direct link within this Blackboard course to the tutoring site. And this message came up for the students every time they entered their Blackboard course. They do have an option to turn it off after they've read it once or twice. So we don't want to annoy them too much. But again, every time they come into the course, this was a little reminder to them. And then we transitioned at the end of the semester to putting up this new semester message saying, hey, did you know that we have this online tutoring here? So with these two campaigns over a roughly 3-week period, we had close to 7,000 views of this message. And this is another cool thing about EesySoft is you can get this information really easily off the dashboard. And we found that 13% of the viewers clicked into the tutoring link to then see a little bit more about it or to actually access the tutoring. Then Cole, if you could just go to the next slide, please. This is the other message which gave them directions to click right into the tutoring. And we found that in the first week of this campaign, tutoring hours increased by 30%. Which to us is absolutely huge. And just let us know that, you know, this is a successful campaign. This has done exactly what we wanted it to do. I did want to just sort of backtrack for a minute on the help portion of it to, you know, throw in my perspective from the help desk. Lynn had mentioned how this links directly into our help desk where they can submit a support ticket if they want to. That has been really great because it gives us on the back end of the help desk information about where in the course the student is, what browser they're using and so forth. Is the example that you gave, Cole, where, you know, help, I don't know what to do in my test. Yeah, that's what we get for tickets, a lot. We don't get all the information and we have to do a lot of back and forth to get it, whereas now we have a good portion of that information available to us. So that's really helped us out a lot in being more efficient, being able to answer these questions more quickly, get the student help, and also to give us a little bit more time to move on to the next one. So that is, that's my experience and my end of things with EesySoft. It's been really terrific.
Nice, great, glad to hear it. I think it just really shows how valuable of real estate that the LMS and Blackboard is, especially now since so many more people are navigating to Blackboard probably than there was before pre-COVID. So it makes it even that much more of a valuable of a place to try and communicate those things that are important. And specifically with this example, especially things that are really going to help them to succeed through online learning and these tools that are available.
And that they may not have known were available, as you say, because they are new to this whole environment.
Yeah, exactly. Nice. So I think now it's a little bit about what you're planning on for the upcoming terms.
So after having these campaigns be extremely successful, we are going to have some specialized targeting programs for our student audience, as well as for our faculty this summer. We plan on introducing class for Zoom, which will be one of our campaigns, and in providing training and information, we think that this will be extremely helpful to let the faculty know, in the fall, to let the students know. We additionally plan on introducing Panopto if everything goes well with the financing piece. But that's, those two campaigns, introducing two new faculty, two new technologies to faculty and then introduce those to students is a lift, is really a lift. So this program will be extremely, extremely helpful for those campaigns and the summer trainings that we will be doing. So those are some of our plans. Did you have our planning slide that that I wanted to show? Is when we think about planning for the future, we know that that the old way of communicating, hitting faculty and students in their email is really not working. A lot of email becomes invisible. Yet when we use the Blackboard as a tool, it really is effective because people see it, they look at it, and we will make sure that it doesn't become like email, overuse the tool. But right now we are going to just work on, CIT's mission, but I can see eventually where we will be opening it up to other groups, because it's not only CIT that, has the issue of people not reading the emails. We're just being deluged with so many emails. But if we look at the last slide, what we liked about EesySoft is this, and there is Lisa is joining us today, we have found EesySoft probably to be one of the best, if not the best vendor that we have dealt with. We got this up and running in a very short period of time. Their professional guidance was excellent. The trainers are very knowledgeable and provide excellent assistance. If there's any issues, they get fixed. And they communicate, weekly what they have done. When they change their website, they change the dashboard, you're informed. They send you a video. I see that Sean Hurley here is from Thinking Storm. They're one of our other favorite vendors. They're the ones that provide tutoring services for our campus, and they do an excellent job as well. But if campuses are looking to, campaigns, data, support, this really is a fabulous, fabulous solution. We are just scratching the surface to this. What we hope to do is that Lisa has created some excellent tutorials, and we'll be incorporating our tutorials along with EesySoft. It's just that we've been extremely, extremely busy. But if I speak for a product, it means that they've done an amazing job on, working with our campus. And I would be more than willing, to share, our results with you. And if faculty are at this presentation, talk to your campuses about this. It really is a great solution for students and for faculty. It really makes you some ways independent, because sometimes faculty are shy about seeking help. They realize how busy CIT is, and they don't want to bother us. But please, share this information, with your campuses. And if the faculty, I know 2 faculty from our campus are here, think about campaigns that you might want to do for your department. I'm thinking about Ruth in computer science. Ruth, if you have a campaign that you just want to target for your majors, your first year, your second, your third year, or a computer club, we can do that for you. So it's not only for CIT, it's also for academic departments. We can start sharing out to your students, campaigns for you.
Oh, excellent, because that's actually one of the questions that I have, I was going to ask later. Okay, thank you for answering my question before I even asked it.
So are there any questions?
Yeah, guys, please feel free to ask anything. Lynn and Valerie are great resources, and they've got quite some experience so far with using EesySoft. So highly recommend to ask anything you might be thinking.
We must have done a great presentation then if they have no questions, right?
I know.
That's always what I think.
I know. Sean, do you have any questions? Melissa? Do you have any questions?
No, I just was applauding.
Oh. But can you think of any ways that, we've come up with a laundry list, a very specific, targeted question, announcements that we're going to be making, inside of the LMS. Because what we're finding is, email can be invisible, especially during the summer when people, are in and out of their email sporadically. So they may not go back to July's message. Is there any campaigns that you could see either for your department or for the, for the learners that you might, find helpful? Or for
I'm going to have to think a little bit more about it. I was using this without even knowing I was using it. and so, I'd seen they looked like pop-up questions to me, but, one day I went to the LMS and there it is. There the pop-up questions were. And so I can see it as being a really, a pretty this sounds like a typical use for it, but a powerful tool for being able to point my students' attention to some things that I commonly find them overlooking. So I can at least start there, as far as thinking, but I'll think more about it though.
Perfect. Yeah, what I just pulled up on screen is actually what we call the EesySoft Universe. So this is a place where all of our customers from around the world share their different campaign examples and ideas that they have used. So it's a great place to brainstorm and just really see the wide variety of different uses for this messaging and for the support specifically is what this is focused on. But there's also a lot of reporting and data tracking other use cases, which aren't outlined here, but this is a great place just to see. And what you'll notice is that a lot of them, while there's quite a few about specifically, technology usage, there's a lot of them that are just more general communication. But what these institutions are experiencing is by placing these more general communications inside of Blackboard, they're seeing more views on this information, more engagement, and higher turnout for whatever that call to action is from that message, just seeing greater impact with the audience that they were able to reach. So lots of different ways that it can be put to use.
Well, I can think about universal learning, for example. We're just trying to find more and more ways of getting people to engage in music. So I teach music, and so I could see where this could be really good because, sometimes at least when I'm teaching in class, I can see a lot more easily that a student is simply overlooking something, or not noticing something and needs another way to notice it. So there's one idea, I guess, with the universal learning and what we're just trying to accomplish in classes where, you know, it can become ableist at times, you know, can you hear this? Or can you see that? Right. And so I could see where this could be good as far as, you know, offering some other modes of learning with a particular musical piece, for example, or anything else that you're studying.
Yeah, absolutely.
And
Nice.
so it can be very specific, like what Melissa said, something that a department wants to focus on with the universal design learning. Is that what you're talking about, Melissa? So
Yes,
if,
I just skipped the word design, but that's
Right.
universal design learning. Yes.
right. And, you know, and that would be helpful, you know, as an art campaign, you know, for the art students. And one of the campaigns that I just sent out was for our web camp for faculty that are interested in moving their courses online, not the rush to the remote, you know, that we have, but really learning to, you know, take that rush to remote or that high flex class and, you know, move it to the online format. And it's been very effective in doing that.
Yeah, absolutely. That's one thing that we see happening a lot recently, is just using the messaging to promote these different development opportunities, make them more visible to faculty members. And yeah, a lot of institutions seeing more people turn up those opportunities, which is great because there's a lot of time spent in planning them out, and there's a lot of valuable information to take home. So.
And the other piece that's, it's the informing, the data piece, you know, to see if people like the campaign or not, because you don't want to get to the point where you become invisible, but that feedback, you know, in that data, you know, 13%, you know, increase into people clicking onto a tutoring tool was really amazing. You know, we have like Plato help and resources in every class, but it almost becomes invisible. We had sent out messaging to the students. I had done numerous workshops, but never had that uptick in usage by students. So that, you know, that data really, you know, informs the messaging. And it's, you know, such a valuable tool for students. I mean, it really is something that will, can help them be successful in their courses.
Yeah, absolutely. Well, Lynn, Valerie, thank you so much for sharing your experience with everybody today. If there is any more questions or anybody thinks of anything, I believe Lynn is happy to answer any of those questions. I'll also put my email address in the chat right now in case if anybody thinks of anything that they'd like to reach out and get some more information.
Cole,
I'm sorry.
go ahead.
Melissa, can you turn on your mic? So Melissa and I are listening together here. So quick question, can I get a copy, if I put my email address in the chat, can I get a copy of this recording? Because I don't have decision-making authority at Elms College, but I would like to be able to send this to someone who may have it. And I think this recording with the results and whatnot would be better than just saying, go look at the demo.
Yeah, absolutely. Throw it in the chat and I'll be happy to make sure that it gets sent to you specifically. Perfect.
And Cole, if you share the recording link, we'll put it out up on the program. And so the people, we encourage people who have not been to this session to come and take a look at the recordings. So that was an excellent idea. And if you have any questions concerning EesySoft, you are more than welcome to reach out to myself or my team, you know, with any questions that you may have. But luckily, EesySoft works more than, it's my understanding that it works for Canvas, Desire to Learn, Moodle, and there's others that I'm just not listing. So it just we use Blackboard, but other people may be using another LMS.
Awesome. Well, I appreciate everybody taking the time to be here today. And of course, Lynn and Valerie, again, thank you for sharing the experience. And hope you all enjoy the rest of the conference, sit on some informational sessions, and I'll be looking forward to hopefully connect with quite a few of you again soon.
Thank you, Cole.
Thanks, everybody. Thanks, Cole.
Yep, thank you.
Have a great day, everyone.
Bye.